Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today. My name's Dan DeRosa. I'm the field organizer with Environment New Jersey. Environment New Jersey is a statewide, citizen-funded environmental advocacy organization that works to protect our clean air, open space, and clean water. I'm joined here today with Senator Linda Greenstein, who has been a long-time champion for environmental issues and, on this issue, protecting the state of New Jersey from fracking waste, as well as Tracy Carluccio with the Delaware Riverkeeper Network, Kate Millsaps with the New Jersey Sierra Club, and Lauren Petrie with Food and Water Watch. We're here today to discuss a new Environment New Jersey report, Fracking by the Numbers, which quantifies the damage done by fracking and this dirty drilling process in Pennsylvania and across the country, and the threat that the web of fracking poses to New Jersey. The report finds that the total volume of fracking waste generated across the country in 2012 is enough to flood all of Trenton in a 164-foot deep toxic lagoon. It should be clear to everyone that fracking waste, often laced with numerous toxins and cancer-causing chemicals, is hazardous to our health and environment. The numbers don't lie. Fracking has taken a dirty and destructive toll on our environment, and if fracking continues unchecked, these numbers will only get worse. As this dirty drilling practice continues to rapidly expand across the country, we have seen documented cases of contaminated water, nearby residents getting sick, and beautiful landscapes turned into industrial zones. The issue of fracking is particularly important here in New Jersey and pressing right now as we mark the one-year anniversary of Governor Christie's decision to veto a bipartisan bill to protect New Jersey from being caught in the web of fracking by banning hazardous fracking waste here in New Jersey. Fracking by the Numbers is the first study to quantify and measure the footprint of fracking damage done nationally to date, including toxic wastewater, water use, chemical use, air pollution, land damage, and global warming pollution. The Fracking by the Numbers report measures some of these key statistics and indicators of the fracking threat. Across the country, we've seen 280 billion gallons of toxic wastewater and 450,000 tons of air pollution produced in 2012. And since 2005, 250 billion gallons of water used, 360,000 acres of land degraded, and 100 million tons of global warming pollution produced. Of particular concern to New Jersey, the report calculates that next door in Pennsylvania, 1.2 billion gallons of wastewater was produced last year alone. This is a particularly historic mark and close to half the total amount of wastewater ever produced in Pennsylvania. And the news only gets worse on this toxic cocktail. Often laced with cancer-causing chemicals and radioactive material, toxic fracking waste has contaminated drinking water sources all across the country, including Pennsylvania. Since 2005, 30 billion gallons of chemicals have been used for fracking in Pennsylvania alone, and these chemicals routinely include toxic substances. According to a 2011 congressional report, some of the chemicals used in this process include ethylene glycol, the main ingredient in antifreeze, diesel, hydrochloric acid, and ethylbenzene. These chemicals have been linked to cancer, endocrine disruption, and neurologic and immune system disorders. We've already seen the damage that discharge from fracking waste water can cause into our rivers and streams, and how they can pollute drinking water supplies. For example, after a water treatment plant in Pennsylvania dumped wastewater into the Monongahela River, local authorities issued a drinking water advisory for 350,000 people in the area. And a new study out of Duke University earlier this week shows that radium levels are 200 times higher in waterways that have had wastewater dumped into them. The bottom line is this: the numbers on fracking add up to an environmental nightmare, and frack waste is a nightmare for New Jersey. For our public health and environment, we need to put a stop to fracking and protect the Garden State from the oil and gas industry's bonanza. The public outrage and the response to fracking is only growing. This summer, New Jerseyans and millions of people all across the country signed a public comment urging President Obama to protect our national parks and national forests from fracking. And in August, Representative Matt Cartwright from Pennsylvania co-sponsored and introduced the Cleaner Act, a bill to close the loophole that exempts the oil and gas industry from our nation's hazardous waste laws. Here in New Jersey, as we mark the one-year anniversary of Governor Christie's short-sighted veto to continue to allow fracking wastewater into the state, we can still halt the fracking frenzy before it reaches our state by overriding his veto and banning fracking waste here in New Jersey. The numbers from today's report show why we need to keep fracking waste out of New Jersey. And for all the people living in states where fracking is already occurring, our congressional delegation and President Obama should take steps to protect them from fracking as well. And the first thing that they can do is to protect our federal parks and federal open space from fracking. And in addition to that, close the exemption for the oil and gas industry that are exempted from our nation's hazardous waste law. Thank you very much, and now I'd like to introduce Senator Linda Greenstein.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been a sponsor or a co-sponsor of the anti-fracking bill since the very beginning, and each time I see more and more evidence. It started out with anecdotal evidence, and now we have a report that really puts these statistics together to show us the dangers of fracking. I think of fracking a little bit like a barbarian at the gate, just waiting to come in, and we have the opportunity to keep it out. That's one of the reasons that I'm calling on all of my colleagues to help overturn the short-sighted veto by Governor Christie of the wastewater bill, because we don't need to let this dirty wastewater into our state. Sometimes people don't realize the importance of clean water, and that's why I'm so grateful to groups like Environment New Jersey for showing us the importance. It's critical, probably more important than just about any other issue in terms of our public health. Letting this dirty wastewater voluntarily into our state is a mistake, plain and simple. Now, I was very surprised as I was reading some of the materials to see that the Pinelands Commission is considering a pipeline that would let this water come through the Pinelands. Personally, I think that's against the mission of the Pinelands, and I hope that they'll turn it down. I think we need to do everything in a state like New Jersey, which has such potential for pollution. We're so crowded, we have so much going on here, and yet we're a beautiful state, and we want to keep it safe and beautiful. And we need to be absolutely certain that any opportunity we have to keep out pollution, we do it. We need to keep our water clean, and this would certainly be an important thing for us to do. So I highly recommend that we overturn that bill. I'll do everything I can as Vice Chair of the Environmental Committee. I know we've done a lot in that committee already, but anything that we can do to move us in the right direction and keep this polluted wastewater out would be a step in the right direction. I commend you on your new report. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tracy Carluccio, Deputy Director of Delaware Riverkeeper Network. We know that radioactive frack waste came to New Jersey from Pennsylvania gas wells, and we know that because Governor Christie vetoed the New Jersey frack waste ban bill, that shipments could resume at any time. As you heard, about 1.2 billion of the 280 billion gallons of frack wastewater produced nationally were produced in Pennsylvania. And now that there has been an approval of the Cove Point liquefied natural gas facility in Maryland, we expect that there will be an intensity in the drilling, particularly in the Marcellus in Pennsylvania. So more wastewater will be looking for a home with no place to go. We do not have facilities in New Jersey to safely process this material. It's a very complex toxic waste, and as the Environment New Jersey report makes really clear, the billions of gallons produced every year contain cancer-causing substances that have contaminated drinking water sources throughout the United States. In fact, the new report that was just out from Duke University that Dan mentioned, it was published just yesterday, and it's a peer-reviewed paper that goes through 2 years of data of the fracking industry in the United States, particularly focusing, however, in Pennsylvania on one facility that processed wastewater. And they found in the stream below that wastewater facility that the radium levels in stream sediments were 200 times the background level, as Dan mentioned. Now, that violates radioactive waste disposal laws, and it also poses an alarming environmental hazard for the region. The reason for this is because 1,600 years is the half-life of radium-226, which was found in those sediments. So this is being called by this peer-reviewed paper a legacy of fracking, radioactive materials that will last for that long in our environment. The danger of this is these materials will work their way into fish and upward through the food chain and find their way into humans. It will also destroy the environmental and ecosystem values of the areas below the stream. This has to stop. We can't handle any more pollution here in New Jersey. And the legislature knows that and had the wisdom to pass the frack waste ban bill. Unfortunately, Governor Christie did not have the wisdom to sign that bill. And at this point in time, we, as a nation, as a state with the highest density of population in the nation and the highest number of Superfund sites in the nation, we simply can't handle any more waste, particularly waste that has not been worked out with federal regulations about how to treat, or even technically how to remove all of the materials that are in the waste. So this New Jersey, Environment New Jersey report quantifies this, and it puts into perspective the elephant in the middle of the gas industry's room, and that is that toxic waste has no place to go. We have to now stop fracking where it's occurring, and we have to keep it out of the Delaware River watershed where they want to bring it in order to make sure our drinking water here in New Jersey is protected as well. The only way we can do this is through legislation. Right now, the doors are open to the industry, and we want them closed. Thank you.
I'm Kate Millsaps with the New Jersey Sierra Club, and this report is being released as New Jersey remains vulnerable to the dangerous practice of fracking and its toxic and radioactive wastes. This new information signals why legislators need to take action now more than ever before to protect our state from the impacts of fracking on our environment, drinking water, and public health. But in addition to the disposal of fracking waste, the fracking industry is already having an impact on our state through the expansion of pipelines and other gas infrastructure. We have seen a half dozen pipeline expansion projects proposed in New Jersey in the last 5 years to transport fracked gas. We have seen over a dozen proposed in the Delaware River Basin to serve Marcellus Shale gas fields. Right now, the Spectra pipeline is being built through Superfund sites in Liberty State Park in Hudson County. The Tennessee Gas Pipeline is being drilled underneath the Monksville Reservoir and the Delaware River. The Transco pipeline projects are being built in Hunterdon and Mercer County through one being proposed through the Princeton Ridge, an extremely environmentally sensitive area that citizens have fought for decades to preserve just to have fracking infrastructure put through. The latest proposal to come to New Jersey now is the South Jersey Gas Pipeline through a sensitive portion of the Pinelands. This project would destroy one of the most unique and treasured landscapes and habitats in the state to keep a dirty fossil fuel plant up and running. The pipeline would convert the BL England plant from a peaker plant to a baseload plant, bringing more dirty air pollution to the Pinelands region. Last week, the Pinelands Commission told staff to begin preparing a memorandum of agreement that would allow the project to move forward. We believe the Commission does not have the legal authority to approve the project in this way. We believe it violates the Pinelands Plan and the Pinelands Act, and we urge the Commissioners to reject this project that will create a scar through the region, more sedimentation, poorer water quality, and more air pollution. This report shows how, more than ever, we here in New Jersey need to stand up against fracking, frack waste, and its polluting infrastructure, which is harming communities and ecosystems across the nation.
Hi, I'm Lauren Petrie, organizer with Food and Water Watch. Last year, Governor Christie vetoed 2 pieces of critical legislation that passed with strong bipartisan support that would ban fracking and fracking waste in New Jersey. Hydrofracking creates millions of gallons of highly toxic and potentially radioactive waste that contain hundreds of carcinogenic and endocrine disrupting chemicals: benzene, toluene, formaldehyde, lead, mercury, barium, just to name a few. With this veto, Governor Christie is essentially allowing New Jersey to become a toxic waste disposal site for the oil and gas industry and any neighboring states that take part in this dirty drilling process. By taking this deliberate action to veto a ban on fracking and fracking waste, Governor Christie is sending a message that the private profits of the oil and gas industry are more important than protecting the health, drinking water, and safety of New Jersey residents.
Thank you, everyone. The answer is clear. New Jersey needs to do everything that it can to protect the state from hazardous fracking waste. We can take questions now.
Dan, we talked about an override of the veto. I guess this question is for Senator Greenstein. Is there a vote count? Do you have some confidence that the bill can be overridden, or the veto can be overridden?
At the moment, I don't have any kind of a vote count, although when we get back, I hope to try to get one. To be honest with you, at this moment, I don't have that confidence. It seems like whenever we try to do a veto override, we're always short about 1 vote. But you never know what could happen in lame duck. I mean, that's always a better time to try to do something like this, and perhaps at that time there would be an opportunity, because we're always so close. And this is very important, had a lot of support.
What would you say is the most, I guess, shocking finding that you'd want the general public to summarize their shocking finding?
Yeah, so I think it's that all across the country, kind of look at all of these numbers. I think the one that stands out the most is the incredible amount of wastewater that's being produced through this process. So we've seen all across the country 280 billion gallons of wastewater produced from the fracking process. And then right next door, last year we saw 1.2 billion gallons produced in Pennsylvania. That's more than half of what has ever been produced in Pennsylvania. And that wastewater is knocking on New Jersey's door and could be brought into the state. That's why we need to do everything that we can to ban, to repass and override the governor's veto on the frack waste ban bill.